Chris Johnston, Steve Dangle, the moment has finally arrived. I am not talking about the end of 2020. That is very exciting in and amongst itself. No, I'm talking about the return of the NHL training camp starting up. We didn't know if we'd get to this point. Steve, what's your excitement level out of 10? Give it to me.
1,000. I didn't know if we were getting a season at all, and we're getting 56. I think that's an underrated thing here. It's way more games than I thought we'd get.
I'm shocked you're excited. No one saw that coming.
Always.
Leafs training camp coming up. It's a lot for all Leaf fans to get excited about. We're going to look at that. We're going to preview the season a little bit. We're going to put a twist on it. We're going to play a game of Would You Rather. Now, anyone who says they haven't played Would You Rather is either lying or they're much more mature than us. I know we've all played it. And we're going to put ourselves in the position of the Leafs, and I'm going to give you a Would You Rather, and you two are going to tell me which one you think the Leafs would rather happen. These are hypothetical, but we're going to have a little fun with it. So let's jump right into it. And I will pose this question to you two. If you're the Leafs, would you rather Auston Matthews win the Rocket Richard, or would you rather Morgan Rielly win the Norris Trophy? Chris, I'll start with you.
I'm going to say Auston Matthews win the Rocket Richard. And look, let's acknowledge both of these awards are largely point-based. I mean, obviously, Rocket Richard's a straight-up most goals. But even the Norris these days is for producing points. And we do know the Leafs can do that in abundance. I think scoring is certainly not going to be an issue for this team. And so while both players are important, I think seeing Auston Matthews at the top of his game probably gives the Leafs the most amount of hope. I mean, he's the franchise at this point. They got many special players, but I think him finally having that kind of season, he could have won the Rocket Richard last year, perhaps, had the year not been wiped away in March with coronavirus. And I think that they'd like to see him just continue to flourish and win that award this season.
The Rocket is something that you have to give the top goal scorer. The Norris gets voted on. And for Morgan Rielly to win the Norris, first of all, the Leafs need the defense so badly, so that would be wonderful. But he hung over 70 points and 20 goals the other season and couldn't even get in on it. Can you imagine what type of season Morgan Rielly would have to hang on the league for the voters to make him the Norris winner? Come on. I'm going with the Norris for Riles.
Okay, two good points. Moving on, we'll go to goaltending, another hot topic in most markets, especially. It always seems to be something that gets Leaf fans excited to talk about. So I pose this to you, and we'll start with you this time, Steve. If you're the Leafs, would you rather Frederik Anderson play the majority of the games, or Jack Campbell really step up and force the Leafs to have a 1A, 1B tandem?
Well, I like the idea of 1A, 1B, but to me, 1A still gets the majority, if that makes any sense. So I'd say Freddie still gets the majority, but he needs to have the net taken away a little bit on some nights. It can't just be, you only get the second half of back-to-backs, Michael Hutchinson or Garrett Sparks or Curtis McElhaney style. Enough. We've had 3 consecutive years of that with different backups. I don't care how good Jack Campbell is. That plan needs to change. But I would still like to see Freddie get the majority of the games. He seems to play his best hockey when he's facing a lot of shots. It just can't get ridiculous like it has been.
Well, I think under this season that the Leafs would actually like to see something more like a split. And it might make some of the future decisions easier. With Frederik Anderson entering the final year of his contract, Jack Campbell is signed beyond this season. So, if you got to a point where you had a fair bit of trust in Campbell, he could actually be a low-key cheap addition for a goaltender that can play some games. And I do think that there's pretty significant concern internally that Frederik Anderson has just played too much here in the last little while. And that perhaps that's led to some of the things that have happened in the playoffs that haven't been quite to the team's liking. And so, I think in a perfect world, you're seeing close to a split. This is going to be such a strange season, the way it's going to play out, 56 games, 116 days. The closer to 50-50, I think the better in terms of setting those guys up for the playoffs.
Okay, so there was 2 big additions the Maple Leafs made in the offseason that seemed to get people excited. One was Joe Thornton, the other one was Wayne Simmonds. They did make some other moves, very notable, but those 2 are 2 guys worth noting. So I ask you, if you're the Maple Leafs, would you rather get more production from Wayne Simmonds, or would you rather get more production from Jumbo Joe?
Team Jumbo, bud. It's got to be Joe Thornton if you're the Leafs. I mean, look, he's going to get to play some power play minutes, probably on the second unit, but and I think he's going to play further up the lineup than Simmonds, at least entering camp. I think that's the way the Leafs view this. And so, he's quite a bit older than Wayne. They're both veteran players, so it's certainly not a guarantee that he'll produce more points, even with some of that usage. And so I think the best case scenario for the Leafs is the player that's put in some offensive situation produces. And in this case, I mean, we already know that this guy's been brought in a lot for the things he's going to do behind the scenes in the dressing room, sort of a leadership role. But if he can match that and pair that with some production, I think that's the best case scenario.
I don't like the way that we've painted Wayne Simmonds, so I'm going to say him, just because everyone is talking about him like the punch in the face specialist, and he had that very good quote on free agency day when he was drafted, I can punch your head off or whatever. And yeah, he can, but part of the reason we know Wayne Simmonds' name is throughout his career, he would score 20, 25 goals, and he could punch your head off. So if he can become more of a complement to the Leafs lineup and be a depth scorer, and every now and then punch you in the face, I think he'll be a wonderful addition to the team.
I'm going to end this with one surprise question to Steve. It's very hypothetical, a bit of a would you rather, and you only have 30 seconds to answer it before we run out of time here.
Love it.
The Leafs win the Stanley Cup this year in a shortened season. They hoist it. You finally get to see it, but you can't watch hockey for 5 years. Do you say yes?
Let's go Raptors. I didn't need 30 for that, but I'll stop watching for 10. I want one cup. One cup. I'm young. I'm Wayne Simmonds' age. He's actually young.
Write it down. Chris was the witness. No watching hockey for 10 years for Steve Dangle if they win. Gentlemen, thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate you taking part in Would You Rather Leafs edition.
Go Blue Jays.